So Hare Krishna. Nice to see all of you, wonderful devotees. Your moonlight faces enlivens our day, everyone's day. As the Lordship's moonlight faces enlivens devotees' days. So devotees' moonlight faces enlivens the days and lives of all living beings. Jai. So now we are continuing with our discussion on Lord Kapil Dev's instructions on devotional service to Mother Devhuti. Canto 3, chapter 28, verse number 35. If you can repeat after me, please. Thank you. Muktashrayam yarhi nirvishayam viraktam nirvanam rucchati. Okay, nirvanam rucchati manaha sahasa yatharchihi atmanam atra purusho avyavadhanam ekam anvikshate pratinivruta guna pravaha. Same meter. Chintamani prakarasatma sukalpavruksha Muktashrayam yarhi nirvishayam viraktam Nirvanam rucchati manah sahasa yatharchihi Atmanamatra purusho vyavadhana. Atmanamatra purusho vyavadhanamekam Anvikshate pranivruta guna pravaha Muktashrayam yarhi nirvishayam viraktam Nirvanam rucchati manah sahasa yatharchihi Atmanamatra purusho vyavadhanamekam Anvikshate pratinivruta guna pravaha Muktashrayam yarhi nirvishayam viraktam Nirvanam rucchati manah sahasa yatharchihi Atmanamatra purusho vyavadhanamekam Anvikshate pratinivruta guna pravaha Muktashrayam yarhi nirvishayam viraktam Nirvanam rucchati manah sahasa yatharchihi. Atmanamatra purusho vyavadhanamekam. Anvikshate pratinivutta guna pravaha. Word synonyms, translations and purports by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mukta ashrayam, situated in liberation. Yarahi, at which time. Nirvishayam, detached from sense objects. Viraktam, indifferent. Nirvanam, extinction. Rucchati, obtains. Manaha, the mind. Sahasa, immediately. Yatha, like. Archihi, the flame. Atmanam, the mind. Atra, at this time. Purushaha, a person. Avyavadhanam, without separation. Ekam, one. Anvikshate, experiences. Pratinivruta, freed. Guna pravaha, from the flow of material qualities. So situated in liberation, at which time, detached from sense objects, indifferent, extinction, obtains the mind immediately, like the flame, the mind, at this time, a person without separation, one experiences freed from the flow of material qualities. Translation. When the mind is thus completely freed from all material contemplation and detached from material objectives, it is just like the flame of a lamp. At that time, the mind is actually dovetailed with that of the Supreme Lord and is experienced as one with Him, because it is freed from the interactive flow of the material qualities. Purport. In the material world, the activities of the mind are acceptance and rejection. As long as the mind is in material consciousness, it must be forcibly trained to accept meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when one is actually elevated to loving the Supreme Lord, the mind is automatically absorbed in thought of the Lord. In such a position, a yogi has no other thought than to serve the Lord. This dovetailing of the mind with the desires of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called nirvana, or making the mind one with the Supreme Lord. The best example of nirvana is cited in Bhagavad Gita. In the beginning, the mind of Arjuna deviated from Krishna's. Krishna wanted Arjuna to fight, but Arjuna did not want to. So there was disagreement. But after hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna dovetailed his mind with Krishna's desire. This is called oneness. This oneness, however, does not cause Arjuna and Krishna to lose their individualities. The Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand this. They think that oneness necessitates loss of individuality Actually, however, we find in Bhagavad Gita that individuality is not lost. When the mind is completely purified in love of Godhead, the mind becomes the mind of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The mind at that time does not act separately, nor does it act without inspiration to fulfill the desire of the Lord. The individual liberated soul has no other activity. Prati nivrutta guna pravaha is the last line. In the conditioned state, the mind is always engaged in activity impelled by the three modes of material nature, but in the transcendental stage, the material modes cannot disturb the mind of the devotee. The devotee has no other concern than to satisfy the desires of the Lord. That is the highest stage of perfection, called Nirvana or Nirvana Mukti. At this stage, the mind becomes completely free from material desires. Yatha archihi means flame. When a lamp is broken or the oil is finished, we see that the flame of the lamp goes out. But according to scientific understanding, the flame is not extinguished, it is conserved. This is conservation of energy. Similarly, when the mind stops functioning on the material platform, it is conserved in the activities of the Supreme Lord. The Mayavadi philosopher's conception of cessation of the functions of the mind is explained here. Cessation of the mental functions means cessation of activities conducted under the influence of the three modes of material nature. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrushabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this verse, there are many important points and words in this verse. It's a very significant verse. We'll just recite this verse once again. Mukta Shrayam Yarahi Nirvishayam Viraktam Nirvanam Ruchati Manah Sahasa Yatharchihi Atmanamatra Purusho Vyavadhanamekam Anvikshate Pratinivruta Guna Pravaha. So the very first word, Mukta Shrayam, is a sandhi, it's a mix of two words. One is mukta and second is ashrayam. Now mukta means liberation, or liberated, or free, freedom. And ashrayam means a place where we can take shelter of, or a person who is liberated. See, that is the first word. It's very significant. The second is that nirvishayam. It is the third word in the first sentence. Means detached from sense objects. Nirvishayam. Then viraktam, the last word. Viraktam means indifferent. When a person is liberated, when a person is elevated, he becomes indifferent to things surrounding him or her. You see? That's when the person does not get involved too much into material things of other people's or modes or his own modes or whatever. He's just been indifferent to things. It's a very interesting word, viraktam, indifferent, you know. So actually when a person becomes, he can tolerate heat and cold, honor, dishonor. So the way he does this is through being indifferent to things, just indifferent. So then after that another word important is, if you see, coming down to last line, which says prani nivrutta guna pravaha. Okay. The last anvikshate, which means experiences. He experiences. What does he do? Prani nivrutta. Nivrutta means retirement or freedom. Again, same word. So nivrutta means freed. The person is freed by his experiences. And freed from what? The last word is very significant. The guna pravaha. Guna means the three modes of material nature. And pravaha means flows. So as the three modes of material nature are constantly flowing and attacking our bodies and the mind, the senses, so one becomes indifferent and is freed from the experiences of the modes of material nature affecting the body. So that means he is transcendental. See, just from these word-to-word synonyms, we can significantly understand what the verse is talking about. Now, it's further clarified in the translation. So when the mind is thus completely freed from all material contamination at this stage and detached from material objectives, it's a very important word, material objectives. See, when we are materially conscious or we are spiritually conscious. There's always an objective. If we are spiritually conscious, our objective is to please Krishna, love Krishna, get attraction of Krishna, or loving Krishna basically. That's what is the interesting part is. Just loving Krishna. Through Radharani, the mercy of Vaishnavas. So there is an objective for spiritual activities, and there's an objective for material activities also. Impress somebody, gaining some skills, gaining some wealth, gaining some recognition, all these things, plethora of things. The spiritual objective is only one, whereas material objectives are many. And those who do not understand spiritual objective as one, they mix things and they also have multiple spiritual objectives. So if you ask a normal spiritualist who's not a bhakti yogi, they say spirituality means mind control or something like this. I remember I used to ask this question in my mantra meditation class, where we would introduce everybody and say, all right, what do you understand by spirituality? So some people say, I'm a spiritual person, I'm not a religious person, I'm a spiritual person. It's a common word being used all the time, I'm a spiritual person. So I asked them this question. I also ask them regularly with new batches. So what do you mean by spiritual? That you are spiritual? And to pin drop silence. They could not articulate spiritual, mind, I'm controlling the mind, controlling the senses, whatever it is. This is also big for them. Now mind we know is material. Senses are grossly material. There's nothing spiritual about it. So that is the good starting point when you can break the introduction part with the newer audience and straight come to spiritual subject. It's always very hard to talk from the material angle and spiritual angle with newer people. So this question, immediately we can have a bridge and immediately we talk about spirit. So see, spiritual meaning what? Spiritual meaning spirit. There is a body, mind is also part of the body, which is material, but inside it, we are all spirit. So living life according to spirit is called spiritual. You see, the needs of the body are different to the needs of the spirit soul. So when we act on the needs of the spirit soul and act the body accordingly, we are doing spiritual activities. Simple. Prabhupada mentions this very clearly. So this is a very easy bridging gap with new people. Then you can immediately come to the topics of Bhagavad Gita straight up with the philosophy. See? So, the mind in this particular verse, when the mind is completely freed from all material contemplation, detached from material objectives, it is just like that of a flame of a lamp. It doesn't quiver, flame of a lamp. I remember one lady once, she was so aggressive. She said, I want to get still mind. How do I get still mind? I said, I can't teach you in a second. And I'm struggling to honestly, still mind. And she followed me quite a bit of time, many classes, even she came to a normal Nama program, And she actually was so angry. She was an elderly lady. She said she was actually frustrated. I couldn't see the anger on me. I said, I am searching for this still mind for 50 years, Ambarish. Help me with this. I said, yes, sure. You need to come to the program regularly, We can't give it to you in a second like this, Okay, so we did some breathing exercises where the mind was still, all right. But for permanent stillness, is nirvana stage where the mind is attached to the mind of Krishna. How beautiful it is. When your mind and your heart becomes the heart of Krishna, God, that is nirvana stage. That's how we are different to the Buddhist concept of nirvana stage. Now, okay, just finish this translation again. It is just like the flame of a lamp. At that time, the mind is actually dovetailed with that of the Supreme Lord and is experienced as one with Him. Because it is freed from the interactive flow of material qualities. It's the last word. It's freed from the flows, interactive flows, in and out of material qualities. Constantly, the material modes are interacting with us, not as outside. It affects our subtle body too. Because with the senses, we are accepting what we are getting, rejecting we are not getting. So let's discuss about this mind, which talks about mind which is completely freed from material contamination and detached from material objectives. It is very interesting to know that mind is very much intertwined, interwoven with our material existence. Moment we have got this gross body, before the gross body the mind is there. It is from this mind, which intelligence is part of it, we get the gross body. It's not the gross body which gets the mind. It's the other way around. So it is this subtle body which creates the gross body. So unless and until the subtle body of mind intelligence is dovetailed with that of love for God, the gross body will never come to that stage of loving God. So the mind is interwoven with the living being's existence. Okay? And mind cannot be separated from the self as far as we are materially concerned. Thus making mind a very important subject matter. Nowhere in the school or colleges or even in medical schools they teach about mind. But they prescribe medicines for mind disturbance. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. If you have turmeric with black pepper in the evening, for those who are 45 years and above, just 4 black pepper, turmeric, bit of ginger in it, so a little bit of it. Take it with water. Your mind and your depression, if you have got mood swings, will be controlled over a period of time. If you have got yellow milk, if you drink yellow milk at night, that's best. Sleeping, best. You will sleep like a baby. If you can't sleep, don't take any other medications. In the night before you go to sleep, have cow milk, put black pepper, a little bit of black pepper in it, put some turmeric powder in it, put some ginger if you can, cardamom powder and honey, mix it nicely every night and drink. You'll sleep like a baby and you'll wake up like a bull. Yeah, seriously. You'll have full energy and your gut would be cleansed in the morning. It's best. So just these few things can alter our thinking, can keep us calm. The hormones are also, in check. See? If you can't do that, and at least for those who are 40 plus, should have some black pepper, 4 black pepper, corns, some turmeric powder, a little bit, some ginger powder. Just take it in, drink water between 5 to 6 o'clock in the evening, every night, every evening. You do this, you will see over a period of time the body is perfect. Perfect. It takes time and keep it going. This is a very good tonic and medication. So, because the mind is so interwoven, there is one particular verse in the Bhagavad Gita. One chapter talks about the mind all completely. It's chapter number 6, which is called Dhyana Yoga in the new book, which is Ashtanga Yoga in the previous book, the 72 edition. So in that, Krishna stresses the importance of mind and the self. And interestingly, he uses the same word for mind and the self as body. It's very interesting. And he uses this particular word called Atma to define mind and Atma to define the body. This particular word comes 6 times in this verse. Interestingly, the verse is also chapter 6, verse 6. And 6 times it comes. It says, see, the verse is Bandhur Atmatmanastasya Yenatmaivatmana Jitaha Anatmanastu Shatrutve Vartetatmaiva Shatruvat. We have to go to one-to-one synonyms for this to understand the 6. Okay? Jai, what were synonyms, translations and purports by Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Okay, so first word is bandhu, means friend. Then atma, mind. First time it came. Atmanaha, of the living entity. Tasya, of him. Yena, by whom. Atma, mind. Eva, certainly. Atmana, by the living entity. Jitaha, conquered. Anatmanaha, atmanaha. Again, of one who has failed to control the mind. But shatrutve, because of enmity. Vartate, remains. Atma eva, the very mind. 6. Shatrutvat, as an enemy. So translation. For him who has conquered the mind is his best friend, best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his very mind will be the greatest enemy. It's a very famous verse. Now in the translation, Srila Prabhupada, we have to understand this, that how the mind, which is our own self, which is so intertwined with us, within us, with the gross body, is our friend and is our enemy. So we have an enemy living within us. Now, in the scriptures, it is mentioned that mind is accompanied by 6 enemies of the mind. I'll repeat again, it's very interesting. Mind is always accompanied by its 6 enemies. It's not that mind has 6 enemies. That is not what is said. We may have enemies, but here is saying mind is accompanied by 6 enemies. This is elaborately explained in the purport of Madhya Leela Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 11, verse number 10. And the purport, I'll just read the purport, part of it. It's very important. Many writers have given it in different ways. Srila Narottam Das Thakur also has written in his poem, in his prayers. But this is very significant. Prabhupada writes here, even though, now Prabhupada gives an example of attachment and then comes to the mind. He says, even though a woman be made of a wood or stone, she becomes attractive when decorated. That's the nature, the body of a woman. One becomes sexually agitated even by touching the form. Therefore, one should not trust his mind, which is so fickle that it can give way to enemies at any moment. The mind, here comes now, the mind is always accompanied by 6 enemies, namely Kama, Krodha, Mada, Moha, Matsarya and Bhaya. That is lust, anger, intoxication, illusion, envy and fear. The 6 enemies accompany the mind. Although the mind may be merged in spiritual consciousness, just see, Prabhupada writes this. Although the mind may be merged in spiritual consciousness at such a high level, one should always be very careful in dealing with it, just as one is careful in dealing with a snake. One should never think that his mind is trained and that he can do whatever he likes. One interested in spiritual life should always engage his mind in the service of the Lord, so that the enemies of the mind, who always accompany the mind, will be subdued. If the mind is not engaged in Krishna consciousness at every moment, there is a chance that it will give way to its enemies. In this way, we become victims of the mind. Now just see, if we do not study, then we don't even know mind has got accompanying 6 enemies. And how can we try to control the mind? You see, we should understand the nature of the mind and who are his friends, who are his enemies. So Prabhupada writes further, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra engages the mind at the lotus feet of Krishna constantly. So constant chanting is needed. Thus, the mind's enemies do not have a chance to strike like a snake. They're waiting for striking. Following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's example in these verses, we should be very careful in dealing with the mind, which should not be indulged in any circumstances. Once we indulge the mind, it can create havoc in this life. Even though we may be spiritually advanced, see, we're talking about advanced devotees, not just neophyte. The mind is specifically agitated through the association of materialistic men and women. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through his personal behavior, warns everyone to avoid meeting a materialistic person or a woman. Now we say he's a devotee, he's a materialistic man. We don't know how advanced a devotee is also, So we have to be very careful or associate with everybody actually, So now we understand that mind has got accompanied 6 enemies. We understand that a mind is an integral part of the gross body, the subtle body. Now we have to understand intelligence is a function of mind. It's separate, okay, functioning is separate, but it is part of the mind. Mind is so big. So we have to use our intelligence to protect our mind and also our consciousness. So intelligence, the discrimination has to be used in every subject, even in devotional service. As bhakti yogis, we have to utilize intelligence properly. Never surrender your intelligence. Surrender intelligently, Prabhupada says. After you have checked everything, then you can surrender everything. But before that, do not surrender your intelligence. That is foolishness. So the process of how one intelligence and the mind also becomes victimized by the senses. This is very beautifully explained in 2 verses of Bhagavad Gita. See, Bhagavad Gita is very, very practical. Just like we saw 6 Atma. These verses have come at the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says this very beginning in chapter 2 about how does the functioning of the senses creates attachment. And how does that relate to the mind and the intelligence? So he says in chapter 2, verse 62 and 63, 2 verses. He says, Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangaste supajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate. Very famous verse. But see the intelligence. See how it is described very beautifully. So Lord Krishna says, while contemplating the objects of the senses, okay, the contemplation stage means it has not actually happened. Attachment is not happened. You have not seen, you have not interacted so intensely, but you are contemplating. So, while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. At this stage, attachment develops. And from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. Just see, let's take an example of this. Supposing we're sitting here and we hear a call from our children, son, Dad, you become a father. And the phone call, yay, you're happy now. Yes, good on you, son, I've become grandfather now, all right? Or whatever, uncle or whichever it is. Now you have not seen the baby. But because your son has told you, you become father, he's become father, I become grandfather, attachment immediately start to think, oh, wow, now I become grandfather. Now I have to do this, now I have to do that. How will I be looking? All those things, okay? I'm coming there. Come on, Dad. So now the drive to the son's home maybe about 10 hours, right? Now if you're driving 10 hours to meet your son and the grandson and all those things, attachment or granddaughter, whatever attachment is there, all this is, you are dreaming and a call comes again. Dad, something has happened to the child. You suddenly break. So what happened? You're petrified, you're afraid. He's not breathing properly. Oh my God, what do we do now? See, attachment there, Chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You're doing all those things. But you have not seen the child. Just by contemplation, attachment happens. Similarly, before you conceive a child, similar example, when a man and a woman, husband and a wife, before conceiving the child, the conception is done in the brain. Is it not so? All the parents would know. And then the child is born. Physical activity takes place later on. So just by contemplation, we are creating attachment. And from attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. Just see this process, okay? The second verse. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha sammohat smruti vibhramaha smruti bhramsad buddhi naso buddhi nashat pranashyati. So here, from anger, delusion arises. So after anger, what happens? Delusion arises. From delusion, bewilderment of memory. Now this is very interesting. I spend a lot of time to understand from delusion, you don't know what's going on, right or wrong. Memory is bewildered. How is it that memory is bewildered? What do you mean by memory bewildered? That means at this anger, from anger, delusion, and one forgets what he is talking, with whom he is talking. One forgets the past good times with the person, how the person has helped you, all these things you forget. And anger just, you crash everything. Relationships are destroyed, all dirt comes out, So memory is bewildered. And when the memory is bewildered, at this stage, intelligence is lost, discrimination power is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. That's again cycle of birth and death. Again the process of transmigration. So this is how, through the senses, even before, just by perception of the senses and sense objects, attachment comes. And all the downfall begins. So at what level we have to be detached? We have to understand this point. At a subtle level we have to be detached. Now, coming to the concluding part, where Arjuna is asking Krishna, well, every sense is so powerful, Krishna. Mind is so powerful, Krishna. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramati balavadhudam. He's asking that his mind is so obstinate, mind has his own mind, he does his own thing. We have no control over it. We have nothing we can do with mind. And he's saying that to control the mind is more difficult than controlling the wind. So when we've got cyclone, we can still control the cyclone, but we can't control the mind which is within us, accompanied by 6 enemies. He's saying asamshayam, without doubt. He accepts. So undoubtedly, Arjuna, the mind is very, very troublesome, very obstinate. He says, the blessed Lord said, O mighty armed son of Kunti. So he called Arjuna mighty armed. And he told him that you may be mighty armed, but you can't control your mind. So we may be Mr. Universe, but we would not know how to control the mind. Distressed. So the blessed Lord said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind. But, there's a but, it is possible by constant practice and detachment. He gave a very simple solution. He did not give big philosophy on it. He said, by constant practice and by detachment. Constant meaning, not that 5 minutes of practice and mind is controlled. Or you do one day full practice and next day it's controlled. You have to do all the time. So mind has to be engaged. Controlling is engaging, distracting. And once you embed detachment. Now how do you do detachment from the material things? Their answer is going in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada writes, the difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind as expressed by Arjuna is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he suggests that by practice and detachment, it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe strict rules and regulations, such as placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the supersoul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc., etc. But the practice of Krishna consciousness, by the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional services to the Lord. The first and the foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. Hare. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything. 2 things happen, That draws the mind away, detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn Vairagya. You should do only attachment to Krishna. Vairagya means a detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Pareshanubhuti, spiritual satisfaction. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction of a hungry man who has, after every morsel of food he eats. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. Material objectives, same word coming here, It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. So hearing the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind, and eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So just to quickly summarize, this particular verse translation is, when the mind is thus completely freed from all material contemplation and detachment from material objectives, it is just like the flame of a lamp. At that time, the mind is actually dovetailed with that of the Supreme Lord and is experienced as one with Him because it is freed from the interactive flow of material qualities. So in the understanding of this, we saw that how the mind and the self are intertwined. We saw the Bhagavad Gita verse where Krishna himself intermingled the word, intertwined the word, interchanged the word Atma to be referring to mind, as well as Atma means self and living entity. Then we saw how the mind is accompanied always by 6 enemies, and how those enemies need to be subdued at all the times, otherwise they strike like a snake. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains this point. Then we saw how intelligence being function of the mind, senses are lower than the mind, how they interact with matter, and the process of gliding down even to a spiritually advanced person. We see that by just contemplation of the objects of the senses, one develops attachment. From attachment, one develops lust. From lust, anger arises. And then from anger, delusion arises. From delusion, bewilderment of the memory. We saw what is the meaning of bewilderment of memory. And when the memory is bewildered, one's intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again to the material pool. Then we saw how to control this. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked question to Krishna, mind is more difficult to control than the wind. It seems, what do I do? Lord Krishna accepts, says, yes, it is indeed very difficult. And he addresses Lord Arjuna as Mahabaho, one with a lot of strength, to indicate that you may be strength, but against mind you are very weak. We are all very weak. And then he says, only by 2 things it can be controlled. One is by constant practice, and second is by detachment. These 2 things is very easily done. Saying easily done, but if you are constantly practicing bhakti yoga, attachment to Krishna, moment we attach to Krishna, all the time we are detached from the material world. So we attach to Krishna part of the time, we are detached part of the time from the material world. So we are attached to Krishna full time, it's full time. This is the process of controlling the senses, controlling the mind. This is what I understood from this verse. Now all of you are very, very learned scholars in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Please, if you would like to share your realizations. Thank you.
One thing that was sticking in my mind was this enmity. It can be a big obstacle, I guess, for finding a peaceful mind if we're constantly looking at other people and what are they doing, why are they doing this, and judging and calculating and all this waste of energy. So something that stuck to me was this enmity can be a big distraction.
Yes.
So we've got to practice this detachment and not be attached to what everyone else is doing.
Yes. Yes.
Just focus on the self.
Yes. Enmity. So true.
So that was something that was just sticking in my mind the whole way through class was this enmity. How to get rid of it.
Jai. Jai. Thank you. Yes. Would you like to say anything, Prabhuji? Okay. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ishananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai, Nitai Gaurchandra Premanande, Hari Hari Bo.